Hello, I am Corey Russell. I've been playing Restoration for a long time, many hundreds of games, and as a result, I have intimate knowledge of how the diplomacy works and how the AI empires react and interpret various things in diplomacy and actions that affect diplomacy. Therefore, I'm making this video to explain how you can use diplomacy to your advantage, which can be helpful on a higher, impossible difficulty, so that you can concentrate on one empire while not being backstabbed by another empire, um, while your fleet's off galvanizing, conquering the other empire. So this is not a video like how to use the basic interface. I assume that you either played it a few times on your own, or at the very least read the manual so you know how to use the basic interface. So anyway, let's get to it. Now, if you're the Klingons, um, of course, you can just go about rejecting all peace treaties and conquer everybody. It's all fine and dandy if you're Klingons, but if you're playing the Federation, that is a terrible strategy. Um, it's guaranteed to make your empire, rebel against you, actually. So, and the other thing too is the Romulans. They don't, they can do war against everybody too. However, their ships, because they cloak, are a little bit more expensive than other empires, and as a result, they generally only have resources to conquer one empire at a time. Um, you you don't until late game you just don't have the resources necessary to conquer two empires at once. It takes too many ships and it costs too much. So what helps then is to have peace with the other empires while you're concentrating on taking out the one empire and then choose another enemy and so on, one at a time. Divide and conquer as it is. And Cardassians have a similar problem. Um, their economy, quite frankly, stinks, and so it's helpful for them too if they can have peace with some empires, but then concentrate on taking out the one. And the other thing too is some if you're okay with sharing the galaxy with another, there's ways that you can make more likely an empire will be your allies. So we're going to talk about that too. So okay, so and now with the minor races, as a side note, um, basically you give them money, you trade with them, and once they are worshipful, you propose membership and they join you. It's pretty straightforward. Um, but with the AI empires, of course, are much different. One thing to always be aware of is that if your empire is particularly weak militarily, um, or particularly strong, the empires will declare war on you, and in such cases, diplomacy is irrelevant. Um, the AIs respect strength, so if you have a powerful fleet on their border, they respect that. If you have a bunch of colony ships going around and hardly anything to defend you, so scouts or maybe a handful of destroyers, they don't respect that, and you look like easy pickings for them, and they declare war on you, including the Federation. So this is why it's important in the early going is that you really do need a strong military, and the Klingons' advice to not take colonies that you can't defend is actually good advice because your people will just get upset when you lose territory that you're just unable to defend. And not only that, you help the morale of your opponent too, which is not good either. Uh, so, so let's say you want a particular empire to be friendly with. There are a number of things you can do. Obviously, the demands, but there's more to it than that. One thing too is you should be careful not to colonize any systems that are close to their empire, because if you do, generally speaking, they will not like it. And if you're trying to be friends with them, once you do that, a lot of times it'll become icy and friendship. At best you might like a non-aggression, but a long-term relationship, it probably won't work. So you should try to avoid doing that. Another thing too is if you want an empire to be a friend, make sure to only do sabotage against their people they're at war with. You should never sabotage someone that they're not at war with, because if you do, they will generally think less of you, um, and it'll damage your relationship. Now, conversely, if you are at war with their enemy in that empire you want to be with your friend, then sabotage, even if it's ineffective, as long as it registers, it's like, Cardassian security intercepted our saboteur, that's fine. Because this the fact you're trying to sabotage them and they're their enemy, they will like you more. And of course, they will also like it too if you destroy their ships and take their territory. So this is a very good strategy. This is what I normally do. Because Cardassians cause a lot of trouble or sabotage, if I can, I like to take them out first. And so what I will do then is anybody who is also at war with the Cardassians, I will try to be their friend. I don't blow them up. I don't colonize close to their territory. I don't sabotage anybody they're not at war with. And this way, kind of together, we take out the Cardassians and I stop the Cardassian sabotage, gain some territory, and possibly gain their friend. Um, and the other thing is, it's except for maybe the Ferengi, it's often impractical to be friends with everybody because, for one, you can't afford it, and two, it's really wasting your money because when you make peace with their enemies, for example, the empire that is at war with that enemy you just made peace with, they don't like it. So realistically, if you are going to try to make a friend, try to make one friend, and then maybe non-aggression with the others, and then whichever empire you're focusing on, concentrate your resources on them, and then choose your next target. Um, and so, that's kind of the general strategy. I don't often propose treaties other than non-aggression with them because it all depends on when they feel like they're ready. Um, but that's kind of the general strategy. True demands do make a difference, but there's something really important you should recognize, and that is if they are enraged, like right now, the Federation's enraged, if they make a demand, I will always reject it. And the reason why is computers are pretty sly. So they will often make a demand just before they declare war on you. So basically, they're trying to milk you for all you're worth. So they're just going to declare war on you anyways, and keep the money for yourselves so you can build ships to defend yourself with. Don't give the money to them. So now, on the other hand, if they're neutral or better, then giving them the demand may help. But always remember that you're wasting your money if you pay their demand and then you call a system close to them, or you try to sabotage somebody that they're friends with. Um, so if you're planning to do that anyways, then don't bother giving the demand because you're just wasting your money. So, um, and also in the end game, once your empire becomes really powerful economically, everybody declares war, and even sometimes your allies will declare war on you. And once that happens, don't even bother with diplomacy. At that point, once everybody's enraged with you, it's time to win the game militarily. Despite what the video for Federation says, while you sometimes go into diplomacy, as a practical matter, um, you have to take at least one empire usually, unless you happen to get a powerful ally, which sometimes you can, but a lot of times it's just not practical. So in any case, I hope this strategy or this information was helpful, and I'll see you guys next time.